I can't tell you how excited I am to be here. I'm sure a lot of people wonder why I got back in this business. First, the Glazer family. The family word means a lot to me. And that was when I heard that this job was going to be open, and I have a lot of respect for the coaches who have been here. I thought they did a heck of a job. But family, and then Jason. There's three keys to winning in this league: ownership, general manager, head coach combination. Then when you have a quarterback, you got a pretty good start. Like I said, I'm extremely excited. We'll get to all the questions and all those things in a minute. But the thing I missed the most as I was in broadcasting, and if you haven't grown up in a locker room, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But there's something about growing up in a locker room, the bonds and the relationships that you build, building a football team, the ups, the downs, all the things that go in between, probably is what is the thing I love the most about the game. And then I missed the arena. I'd be broadcasting the game, and obviously I couldn't use the words I would normally use on television, but the excitement kept building. Then when this opportunity came, all the dominoes, I just like to say the stars aligned, because we have those three things. And then the staff that I wanted and always wanted is available. It's going to be a staff of fantastic teachers. We will have a large staff, do things a little bit different, in that in spring when you guys come out to OTAs, you'll see 2 practices going on, because we'll have a staff that can take all our young players and get those 40 to 45 reps that the veterans are getting. You can't find a diamond in the rough if he's standing on the sideline watching. We don't know if a rookie can really learn if he only gets 3 reps. So we're going to have those guys, and we love young players. I love veteran players. But this is a great group. I think we have the core here to win quickly. I'm not about building. I'm about reloading. And with that, I can't say how excited I am to be a Tampa Bay Buck.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and open it up to questions. If you can please raise your hand. We have microphones on either side of the room, and one will be extended to you.
Yes, sir.
State your name and your outlet when you get a microphone.
Tom Akins, AP Radio. BA, when you were with the Colts, you said that getting fired by the Steelers was one of the greatest things that ever happened to you. What circumstances now have brought you to the Bucs in a feeling of comfort that this is the next greatest thing that's happening?
Yeah, it really is a lot of similarities, and I always say I was refired in Pittsburgh because I said I retired. But that call from Chuck Pagano kind of changed everything. That year of fantasy, what happened in Indianapolis that year with Chuck being sick. And I learned one thing: if a group of men can have one common cause, they can do miraculous things. And when Chuck was ill, you have teams break down 1, 2, 3, win, 1, 2. Everything in Indianapolis that year was 1, 2, 3, Chuck. And we were going to play for Chuck. Andrew Luck was unbelievable as a rookie, as were the other 6 rookies who were starting on that team. But that opportunity, Chuck being ill, gave me a chance to be a head coach. Probably would never got the chance without it. Thank God he's healthy and well, and hopefully coaching this year somewhere. And my own illnesses changed a few things. Got everything clean bill of health, and extremely happy about that. And yeah, that same feeling, that rejuvenation is back.
Hey, Bruce.
Yes.
Ira Kaufman, Joe Bucks fan. Welcome to Tampa, Bruce.
Thank you.
Bruce, 2013, you take over a 5-11 team. You don't waste any time, and you win 10 games first time out. What parallels can you draw between what you're coming into here and the Cardinals in 2013?
Oh, this one's much easier, I believe. When I walked into Arizona, we had no quarterbacks, and we were fortunate enough to sign Drew Stanton, then trade for Carson Palmer. People want to know what's your system. Your system's your players. This coaching staff will build the system to what our players can do. When we meet as coaches, I ask them, please don't tell me what our players can't do. Tell me what they can do, and then build around that. So, yeah, I mean, I think the core's here, and obviously some of the rooms are outstanding. And it was a little bit farther behind.
Bruce, Scott Reynolds from PewterReport.com. You've been a play caller most of your career as an offensive coordinator and then also with the Cardinals. What prompted you this year to turn over the play calling duties to Byron Leftwich?
Yeah, I've been training guys for this job, and I always said I would never give it up and look over anybody's shoulder until I found one I knew could do it. Harold Goodwin did it for me for a little while, but Byron, I think, is a rising star in this business. What he did with the interim title out there wasn't even his offense. It was Mike McCoy's offense, and he did a heck of a job with some rookies. So he's more than ready. I think this coaching staff is going to be outstanding.
Bruce Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. You've been called the quarterback whisperer. You wrote a book by that title. Certainly, you've worked with a lot of great ones. With Jameis, what is it that you think you need to impart on him first? And is there a certain amount of pressure since this is his final year under his rookie contract?
Oh, no pressure whatsoever. I want him to relax and play the game. Talent's no issue. It's just becoming a little bit smarter. With the Clyde Christensen as his quarterback coach and Byron Leftwich, he's going to be coached as well, I think, as he's ever been, and more prepared than he's ever been, fundamentally and mentally. So it's his team. And I'll tell our players in the first meeting, this isn't my team. It's your team. We'll be as good as you want to be.
Hi, Coach. Dan Lucas from WFLA. Todd Bowles is a guy you know well, who's a really good defensive coach. How much do you plan on working with him, or are you going to just completely leave that to him?
That's one of the things I learned in Indianapolis. Becoming an interim leader, I was never the head coach, but we always had Chuck as the head coach, but the interim leader, there wasn't any time. I learned how to delegate. Do your job, I'll do my job. I'll decide if we go for it on fourth, and it worked. And fortunately, I got Todd in Arizona. If I click over, and I usually don't have to tell him to blitz anyway, but if I click over, bring them all, and he knows it.
Hi, Coach. Jenna Lane, ESPN.
Oh, there you go.
Hi. Speaking of the defense, have you guys already discussed plans? Because this is traditionally a 4-3 team. Have you guys discussed plans on what you're going to do schematically?
Yeah, again, we'll do what our players do best. 3-4, 4-3, some call it over and under. We call it different. They still line up the same. We're not a two-gap team. We're gonna attack, and as long as our players attack, and today's NFL, you're in nickel defense 70% of the time, so you're playing a four-man line. We'll have odd man lines, we'll have four-man lines. So, that's just schematics to me.
Bruce Martin Fenley, Tampa Bay Times. I'm sure you wouldn't have returned if you were concerned at all about your health. But you talked a lot about family, and was it hard to pass muster with them, particularly your wife? About coming?
No, she had gradually got on. As more she saw me get excited, I think she started to get excited, and then the reception that the Bucs put on flipped her over the top. So she's in good shape.
Coach Ryan Bass, CBS Tampa. I know you broke bread with Joe Madden over the weekend. What was it that he said that convinced you that you'd want to come out of coaching and coach this team?
Well, I'd already convinced myself, but we're old friends. We grew up fairly close to each other, and Jason actually introduced us a few years back, and we've really hit it off together. So it was more break bread, have fun, and I didn't need any convincing.
Coach Steve Isbitz, JoeBucksFan.com.
Okay, where are you at? Oh, there you go.
We've heard about your relationship with Jameis Winston as a youth, but what has it been, if anything at all, in the last 5 years, and how would you characterize that?
Just knowing each other. I always looked him up when we played him, and told him to keep on going. It's going to be fine. And this is actually the ring I showed him, I think, when he was in 9th or 10th grade, and evidently it made an impression on him. He definitely made an impression on me in that football camp, that's for sure.
Hi, Bruce. Ed Encina, Tampa Bay Times, right here.
Yep.
You talk about delegating to your assistants and the trust that you have in a lot of up-and-coming young coaches. How much will you be a different coach this time around than maybe you were in Arizona in terms of delegating, or just in terms of that your past job?
No, it's probably the same. I've always felt it's my job as a coach to get the next group of great coaches ready. Coordinators push them to be head coaches, have the next man. James Betcher was more than ready to take Todd's place and push those guys out into the public and have the next people ready, then have the next guys ready to take their job. So that's one of the reasons we have a large staff, and I feel very strongly about that's one of my jobs.
Hey, Coach. Tom Krasnicki, 95.3 WDAE. Welcome to Tampa.
Thank you.
You talked about your one-gap philosophy on defense, 4-3 or 3-4. Would that include Gerald McCoy?
Well,
Your thoughts on him?
I've always had the game plan for him. So all those things, every player will be evaluated going forward. And obviously, we've got some work to do in that area. So saw him this morning. He's working out, and I hope so.
Hey, Coach. Mark Cook with PeterReport.com. Yeah, I know you've got a relationship with Jason Light. What is your relationship going to be as you guys look at draft prospects? Is that something that interests you, and how involved do you want to be as far as what comes aboard in April with this football team?
Yeah, extremely involved. Our coaching staff and our scouting department is one. There's no personnel in coaching. It's all one. It's all Buccaneers. Every decision that we make will be a Buccaneers decision. What's in our best interest? Who gets the credit? I don't care. As long as we get the right guys, and it's all the best decision is for the Bucs.
Bruce, a lot has been talked about with your age. Does the NFL in general throw coaches away at too early an age?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt. Some of the best coaches I ever worked with didn't get an opportunity to be a head coach, and it should have been Tom Moore. Dick LeBeau got a short stint. Howard Mudd. I mean, some great coaches that were just assistant coaches forever. Some guys want that, but I think I was really pushing Vic Fangio this year when I was on television because he deserves a shot. He's a great coach, and John Elway saw that. So Mike Zimmer, I'm hoping that when I was young at 60 and some other guys started getting hired in their 50s, that it's going to be a trend to bring us back. Experience matters in this league.
Coach, Greg Allman with The Athletic, here on your right, over here.
Oh, there.
Hi. Your coaching staff that you put together, at least the names that we know, it has a lot of history with you guys that played for you, guys that have coached for you, some of them 20, even 30 years. How much does it help your confidence to have a staff that is such an extension of you and what you believe in?
Oh, it's extremely. Trust, loyalty, and respect is what we build everything on, and it starts there. And when this staff comes together, they either played for me, coached with me. 4 of those guys would have been captains for me at Temple University back in the 80s. Clyde Christensen was on my staff back then. So, yeah, we've got history. I think that's very important because we're all in it together. It only takes one guy to have a different agenda to split the whole thing up.
Hi, Bruce.
Yes.
Tom Massenger, Tampa Bay Times. You have a popular motto, no risk it, no biscuit, which originated, right, from Joe Namath?
Not really from Joe. I'm trying to think I can never remember which coach said that to me, but I kind of live life that way. I try to hit every par 5 and 2, and I put a lot of balls in the water. But if you don't try to hit it, you're never going to hit it. And I want to reach for greatness. If you don't reach for greatness, you'll be average the rest of your life.
And why do you feel like that? I mean, that phrase seems to resonate with a lot of people. Why do you think that is?
I don't. It's just the way I've lived my life, and probably way too many riskets. But we got a few biscuits, so.
Coach Scott Smith, Fox
Yes.
13. You talked about your time in watching Jameis in those youth camps back in the day. What did you see in him then, and how have you seen his game develop over the years?
Well, first of all, he was a bright student and an unbelievable athlete. So you knew, and I followed him because he was a legend in Birmingham. My son was actually in Birmingham then, and followed him through his career at Florida State, and was really happy to find him on the field when we played out in Arizona a couple years ago. And it's funny, in that football camp, 5 kids are in the NFL. and I've kind of followed their careers just because they were in our camp. And it's been fun, but it's been really enjoying for me to watch him grow and look forward for a lot more growth.
Bruce, Mike Neighbors, PeterPirates.com. You mentioned Jameis. You work with so many quarterbacks. I know you've only seen him from afar since he's been in the NFL. Do you compare him to anybody that you've worked with?
Yeah, I really don't like comparing him because I haven't worked and been in the room with him for an extended period of time yet, and I'm really, really anxious to get that started. They're all different, but the great ones have the same. They have grit. I call it grit. When you when you go out to evaluate them, you can look at their arm strength, you can look at their athletic ability, but the two muscles that you play the position with, your brain and your heart, are very hard to evaluate until you get them. And so yeah, Byron had it. Ben, Peyton, Andrew Luck, Tim Couch, all the guys that I've had, Carson Palmer, when they get in a huddle, men follow them. And that's what a quarterback is.
Okay. That'll conclude the question and answer portion. We're going to break down here very quickly for a photo opportunity.
Thank all of you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Hey, Coach. Jimmy Giles, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First of all, I would like to thank you for being here. On behalf of all the former players, I'm excited to see you here. First, because of your coaching style, and second, because you're an old school coach. And I read some of your biography, and you were talking about if a coach can't get it done by 10 o'clock at night, you need to be in another profession, and I like that. I compare that to Coach Buddy Ryan, who I played under for a few years in Philadelphia. And we really appreciate you. I applaud the Glazers for bringing you here because I think Jameis has always needed somebody like you. I think he's going to be a phenomenal quarterback, and we're so excited to have you here, looking forward to some great times and getting the Bucs back to the Super Bowl.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And you guys know that door is open all the time, all right? Sometimes you guys have great ideas to help me. Bring them. Bring them. I'm going to have started this thing in Phoenix where I had former players come and help us coach. I talk about that 2 practices. So we had former players who were interns that some of the greatest in the game came and helped us coach. And they found out some of them really wanted to coach. Others said, that's too many hours. And but all you guys, thank you so much, and you're always welcome. Thank you.